ShinRobjira.
Today we're going to be talking about the Marmit Vinyl Paradise Godzilla 1962 Metallic Green variant. Now don't get me wrong, I understand not a lot of people are going to love this thing as much as I do, but just look at him. Look at those thighs. Chun-Li wishes. Starting from a side profile view, you get an eyeful of everything this figure has to offer. Detail and metallic paints. Now, from a front-on shot, yes, this guy kind of looks like a drugged-out Barney the dinosaur, and even as somebody who enjoys this overall genetic makeup of a figure, yeah, it's kind of goofy. Just look at that face. That's the face of a winner. Even though in his movie he technically lost, so. But from nearly every other angle, this guy is 100% King GOJI. And yes, those teeth are painted with metallic paint as well. Every side and every angle, GOJI got the grills. Oh god, it's like that one anime meme. You know when the character looks down and the eyes are looking up and it's kind of like a fisheye lens and they're just losing their shit internally?
Did you know that Godzilla technically wins in the Japanese version of King Kong vs. Godzilla 1962?
That's what this looks like. But anyway, detail. Look at all of that fantastic detail. He's got the very mean looking brow. He's got his nose cheek things over here. The nostrils are properly defined and such. And I really do enjoy how they painted up these eyes. Granted, there's really no details on it, but I like it. The base color of this vinyl is going to be a very shiny black with metallic green and silver paint apps added to it. And I personally feel that just brings this particular release to life. Like, yes, in some areas it's exceptionally simple, but in other areas it's like picking the thing up and looking at it under some proper lighting is just an experience. You know, I really don't think every side of the figure was evenly painted, and for a release a lot like this, that's the intention right there. You're gonna get something different at every angle present. But anyway, we have some metallic toes, some metallic feet, knees, and thighs moving into tummy area. And I just love the way the colors mix over here. It feels like it was molded that way. But obviously, it wasn't. But just the way that it was applied, it really gives off that look and feel. And of course, that very same aesthetic will be present on the arms as well. Again, in a very by random type of way, very RNG-like. And then over here in the areas that were covered by the arms, you can see that there's a different level of application with this metallic green. And again, that's something I just really enjoy, because all these years later, I don't even remember how long I've even had this thing. I still pick the figure up and look at it under these lights and just notice different patterns, if you even want to call it that. And even on one of the figures that I'm talking about, eventually, a completely different color that I had no idea was even there. It's almost like a game. Spot the different color patterns and such. And even though technically this guy's got 1, 2, 3 different colors on him, it's still a fun thing to do. Get a load of those thick-ass legs. My god, it's like the Great Deku Tree. But if you pull them to the side over here, you'll see that the opposite end is going to be all jet black. And yes, it's going to be like that on this side and the opposite side as well. Same for the arms, really. I wish I could show you the entirety of the opposite side of the arms, but this guy's kind of built like a burger when Donald's $6 chicken nugget meal. He's just so damn thick, and for a pretty good price, I appreciate it. Speaking of which, I got this thing on Amazon some years ago for about $35, and here's what he goes for now. What? Oh, I'm sorry, I know normally I like to fill you all in on some history tips, but literally the only thing I know about this figure is that it was made by Marmit in 1997, apparently, and that's kind of it. Yeah, trying to find information on some of these figures can be a bit of a pain in the ass. I have seen a lot of confusion. It's like the Legend of Zelda timeline with Godzilla Marmit figures. Like this guy, for example, originally released as a Parababy release, but then when he was reissued, he didn't have his little Parababy bonus piece, and he came in a giant-ass box under the name Monster Heaven Godzilla 1955. It's really fucking confusing. Jesus fucking Christ! Don't even get me started on the goddamn variants! But anyway, before we move onward, let's take a look at these dorsal fins. These dorsal fins aren't exactly huge. They're not exactly boasting or bursting with presence, I should say. Not boasting. But they do look rather nice. I mean, in metallic silver paint, you really can't go wrong. I will say, though, I do wish they were, you know, bigger. They're kind of puny, especially compared to this guy who's, you know, thicker than a Snicker in a bowl of cold oatmeal. Yuck. Thankfully, that's not an issue with the other 62 Marmit figures that I do own, and most of them are 62 GOJIs. So I guess his little dorsals over here kind of just separate him from the rest. Well, yeah, but the others don't have the birthing hips of an SFM model. Paint and detail-wise, Marmit Vinyl Paradise Godzilla 1962 metallic green version is simply sublime. I love him so very much. And I just now noticed that the only consistent paint other than the toes, claws, teeth, and eyes is going to be on the tail over here, where it features a green streak along the side. Why you no paint to tip of tail? Even with that little conundrum of a problem, I am going to award this lovely gentleman a solid star in terms of paint and detail. Art figures, man, what can you do? They're never trying to be screen accurate, they're just trying to be different and tasteful to the retinas, the ocular sacs. And other than this guy's front-on shot being wider than my perception of reality, visually, he's just appealing to somebody like me. So, yeah, 2 solid stars. Articulation time. Now, I'm not going to go buck wild with the articulation, but these arms are able to go all the way around. The downside being they really do hit the top of the thighs over here, so I'm not going to push it, and I'm just going to bring this around back the way it went to avoid any paint scrapage. Plus, I have no idea what this thing goes for these days, and if I ever do get desperate enough to sell any fathom point of my collection, at least I know I could probably sell this for a good $200-300. Same on the other side. Yes, back around. Oh, there's one way to get a look at the arms. Just look at the bottom. They're all jet black. Cool. My guy looks a little distressed, doesn't he? Moving on to the legs, I do believe I'll be able to get them to move all the way around. Yep, of course, on both sides. Just lift them up so we don't scratch off the paint on the toes. And then he'll be able to swivel all the way around at the tail, and that's pretty much that. I don't think I own a singular Marmit figure that actually has articulation at the head. You just had one in your hands, dipshit. I do have Mustard King Megalon, but that was a M1 reissuing of a Bullmark figure, I think? The rest are all solid neck boys, so there you go. Articulation was never really my focus when buying one of these, so just the fact that I got arms, legs, and a tail, I'm gonna give articulation another solid star. Secondhand market price, though? 13 solid X's. Fuck that. So just to go over the grounds once more, this is a stylistic quote-unquote art figure. I know a lot of people are definitely going to look at this thing and scoff, but I like my weird, deformed, and stranged paint jobs on figures a lot like this, so it's kind of right up my alley. I'm a sucker for retro shit. I mean, this is how some Godzilla figures looked back in the day when Marusan, Marmit, M1, Bullmark, whoever, were making Godzilla figures mass-produced. Some of them didn't even look like the Godzilla from that specific movie or Godzilla at all. So the off-brand, almost bootleggish nature of the designs and the crazy color schemes, I'm totally about it. If you're not, that's perfectly fine, fam. I'm gonna be going through a couple of these Marmit, Medicom, M1, Bullmark, whatever figures, and I'm happy to say that this is probably the least accurate looking figure of the bunch that I'm gonna be talking about, so yeah, and that's enough out of me. I do so hope you all enjoyed this review. Yes, I am going to be going back and talking about all of my Marmit figures, except for the sleeping Gojis from the Crunchyroll Godzilla tie-in. Those pretty much match up with how I'm making videos today, so no point in it. And when next we meet, as shown off prior, we're going to be taking a look at the Marmit Monster Heaven reissue of the Marmit Parababy Godzilla 1955 figure. What a spooky looking dude. That's the best way I can really go about describing this guy. If you look directly into his eyes, you can see your future. Or something. I don't know. Can you tell I'm on a sugar rush? Bye.